please welcome to the stage Richard Koeck, Professor and Chair in Architecture and the Visual Arts at the University of Liverpool and Director of the Centre for Architecture, who's going to talk to us about shifting perspectives from abstract space to creative place. Please welcome Richard Koeck.
Thank you very much. What a privilege to speak here. I think the news is out. Liverpool City Region has been successful with the Creative Cluster. I've been asked to give a talk on the subject of what is a creative city. So I'm not sure whether the organizer knew that I'm an architect, so I thought I'd give myself 5 minutes to try to answer this question from a disciplinary perspective. So thank you very much for signing up to this seminar in architecture. It's going to be a little more than an hour and a half. Don't be alarmed, there will be a comfort break in the middle about the 1950s. No, but what I would like to make a start by explaining that when we think about cities, it's really a story of quite diverging narratives, and the question of what is a creative city and what a city is in the first place is by no means straightforward. Louis Mumford once asked this question in 1938 in a famous essay. And when you look at the timeline of the last sort of 130 years, you see, for instance, let's start with a concept that you're probably very familiar with, Ebenezer's Howard Garden City concept. You know, the notion of a balanced urban community somewhere on the outskirts of a large city in a green belt, inspiring a new approach to planning, sort of living in harmony somewhere in between the city and the countryside. But just, some 20 years later, you would have a modern movement in planning and in architecture. You had people, protagonists like Le Corbusier with his concept of the Ville Contemporaine in 1922, a very stark, modernist, functional, zoned approach to city, a city that probably would have high-rise buildings and skyscrapers and large open spaces, all sort of forming parts and influenced by modernist thinking around rationality, order, and efficiency. Now, post-war, there was a massive shift in perspective, and that kind of turned the whole debate upside down. You had people like Kevin Lynch in his book, The Image of the City, where he essentially changed the perspective from looking at cities from a top-down planner's point of view, looking at cities as an abstract space, to a bottom-up approach. And at eye level, he would go out into the streets and ask people, what do you think about the city? How do you navigate from A to B? He introduced us to the notion of what is a legible city. And he gave us an idea that there are certain key constituents, such as path, nodes, landmarks, and more, all necessary for us to make sense in cities and to navigate. Now, somewhere connected to this would be the work of Desauteaux. And he reminded us that being in a city actually is about everyday life for many of us. And he introduced us to the notion that even a simple act such as walking in the street can be a creative act, because he said us walking in the street is not just a moment for us to make sense of place through our own bodily movement in that space, but we as the protagonists who walk through the city, who have a presence there, become actively involved in the shaping of place. I think that's an absolute important and radical notion. And then, of course, a little bit later, you had people like Manuel Castells in the late 1980s and then later 1990s, and people began to realize that the future of the city probably would one where we have to deal with information flows and communication networks. And then it took about sort of, when you look at 2002, we had the work of Richard Florida talking about the rise of a new creative class, seeing cities as magnets for creative professionals. And he used the term creative city for the first time, alluding us to the fact that it would be those cultural, creative professionals that would drive innovation, bring us cultural vibrancy, and drive ultimately urban prosperity. You survived. Now, if I were to step back, and I hope there's no other architectural historian in this auditorium, and I just do very crude sort of summing up of kind of things and tendencies that I'd like to see, is that I think there was a time in our history where we thought about cities as, from a form perspective, perhaps some kind of a container, perhaps from a from a representational point of view. And I think the debates have shifted over time, that we see cities as places of cultural, social, and economic production. And there's a second shift that goes along to that, and that's important as well. And that is that cities are not just passively shaped objects in space. They're not simply designed by architects and planners. Cities are about process. Cities are actively shaped by people and by systems. So if you were to ask me, and I was asked to give you an answer to the question, what is a creative city? I probably would say it's a place where new and valuable ideas and expressions can be formed and shared and disseminated. I would probably see a creative city as a place that gives us room for creative thinking and production across the full spectrum of society, a rather inclusive space. And I'd like to think about a creative city as a place that offers us places for creative production that are seamlessly woven into the fabric of everyday life. And now I'm going to do a sharp turn into music futures. We are very fortunate in Liverpool because we are one of two UKRI creative clusters. Music Futures has the aim to catalyze growth and innovation for the Liverpool City region, and we already have a thriving music sector. The LCR community is home to over 1,400 businesses, music businesses in the region, and we would want to work with them on giving them access to R&D, talent development, and much more, aiming to establish the Liverpool City region as the UK's leading hub for music innovation. Music Futures is led by the University of Liverpool in partnership with Liverpool John Moores University. That is very important. We assembled altogether at the moment 28 partners, strategic partners that includes, for instance, the Liverpool Arena and Convention Centre, the ACC, Adlib, a major player in the audiovisual production market and space, but also with local and regional partners such as LIPA or the Liverpool Philharmonic. We're supported by industry bodies, Live, UK Music. We're going to work with UKRI. We're going to work with UK IP, the Intellectual Property Office, PRSF, and more. Music Futures will address, of course, the threats, but also the opportunities that we see in the entire music sector. But it's also important for us to open new pathways for music professionals into all the other sectors, such as gaming and film and extended reality. If I were to summarize what Music Futures is all about, I think there are three key drivers. The first driver is that we would like to empower artists and businesses, solidifying Liverpool's position in music production distribution at a global stage. We would like to future-proof the entire sector, so it's not just about Liverpool City region. And we would like to establish new opportunities for the UK's music industries nationally, but crucially also abroad. We would like to foster R&D innovation, give access to artists and businesses to those hubs that we already have, aiming to redefine music production, distribution, and audience experiences. And finally, of course, we would want to achieve and foster an increasing social economic impact for the city region, but also nationally. I would like to end by showing you a minute and a half of our pitch film, and that will allow me to bring in some regional sector voices and national sector voices into this room. Thank you very much.
It's now critical to invest in our music industry ecosystem. The Liverpool City region is a great place to grow your music business.
We've got the talent, we've got the potential, we've got the organisation, and we've also got the political will.
Its connections in film, TV, games, and emerging media make it a forward-thinking hub for growth.
We are using AI and virtual production technology to create groundbreaking new audience experiences. AI allows us to grow our team here in Liverpool.
The Liverpool City region is such a good place to grow music business. It's the business partner that's key.
Investment would create a more cohesive picture where the businesses could interact together and smash through the glass ceiling of what they've achieved nationally to an international scale.
The companies that are building now are going to help shape the future of the entire industry.
Let's utilise music as a transformational opportunity for the people of the Liverpool City region to drive hope, to drive aspiration, to drive opportunity and to change people's lives.
We need to keep ahead of the curve. We need to make sure that we're investing in our talent to ensure that the British music industry remains one of the most successful in the world.
Thank you very much again.